Welcome back to the show. Kenner is Louisiana's 6th largest city. It has the largest Latino population in the state. Our guests today are among several on the ballot this November 8th, each asking to be elected mayor of Kenner. If nobody receives a majority of the votes, the top 2 candidates will have a runoff election on December 10th. All were invited to attend, but given the short notice, the only 2 candidates who were willing and able to join us for this forum, we have here today Maria DeFrancesch, Councilman DeFrancesch, Council Lady DeFrancesch, and Councilman Ben Zahn. So thank you both for being here.
Thank you for having us.
All right, so let's get right to the questions. Now, the first question, let's start with Councilman Zahn. Tell us who you are and why should the voters cast their vote for you, those in Kenner, for mayor of that great city?
I'm on Jefferson Parish Council right now, which represents about 60% of the city of Kenner. I was on the Kenner Council before that. Over the last 11 years, I've had elected office. I think Kenner has a lot of vision and energy going on right now. We have a lot of things happening: corridor redevelopment, Laketown expansion, Rivertown improvements. A lot of these things cost money. Of course, there's a 2030 plan in place that's going to take care of some of that. But you also still need someone who has those relationships. And I'm going to stick with the relationships that I have to go back into those parish council chambers where we work with about $600 million, the parish council, as opposed to Kenner's $61 million budgets, and hopefully bring some of that money back home to help finance some of the things that we have going on. We're one of 6 cities within Jefferson Parish, and I think it's important that Kenner gets its fair share of what Jefferson Parish has to offer too, and that's why I'm interested in running for mayor.
Councilwoman DeFrancesch, you answer the same question. Why should the voters vote for you for mayor?
First of all, when I ran for office in 2006, I had been a teacher for 30 years and 5 more as an administrator and had served the people of Jefferson Parish through the school system. But when I ran for office, I promised to be a full-time councilwoman and I would retire at that point. I retired. I have been a full-time councilwoman in a part-time position. I've been extremely active in economic development. When I first took office, the mall was failing. We could have had East New Orleans. We could have had Lake Forest in Kenner, and that mall could have failed. I'm talking about the Esplanade Mall. I worked very hard with then Mayor Muniz and Jetco to bring the Target in. The second project was the theater. We needed both the Target and theater in order to save that mall. Ed Muniz decided not to run for re-election. I continued to be on the council and spoke to Mr. Solomon directly over and over again, twice a week on the phone, to make sure that the theater became a reality, and it did. And those 2 entities helped save that mall. We now have a new company called Pacific Realty Capital Partners. I've already spoken to the CEO. His name is Gary Carl. We have been working together already via emails, and I'm working very hard not only to save the mall, but as councilwoman at large, I've also been active in economic development in other parts of the city, from Laketown to the river. It's one city. We need to move every part of this city together forward for the good of the people of Kenner.
Next question. Kenner has a large Latino population.
Absolutely.
By the 2010 census figures, it's knocking on 25%. It's about 24%. How would you evaluate the relationship between the Hispanic or Latino community and the city of Kenner, and what plans would you have or do you have to promote or grow and improve that relationship between the Hispanics or Latinos in Kenner and the city of Kenner, if you were given the privilege of serving as Kenner mayor?
Well, first of all, I've been very, very active in the Latino community. We have the Hispanic Resource Center. I don't know if you realized that the Hispanic Resource Center is the only such entity in the entire state of Louisiana. The city of Kenner actually, during June of 2003, opened that center. And it was actually listed in the Congressional Registry because we were unique anywhere in the country, and especially in Louisiana. And that center has been an absolute asset, excuse me, my voice isn't back all the way, so I have to force it a little bit, for the Latino community. We provide citizenship classes there. We provide computer tutorials. We provide English as a second language. We offer also tutoring for our children there. We offer our police officers the ability to learn Spanish at the Hispanic Resource Center. I've been very, very active with that center and will continue to be. And recently with one of our other councilmen, Councilman Reno, we have actually put money together to build a new building because that one is in decrepit condition. It's a little bit dangerous, in fact. But also with the rest of the community, I've been very, very involved with almost every event that the Latino community has in Jefferson Parish. I just went to Que Pasa recently at Lafreniere Park. We have in Heritage Park, we have different groups that come in and have festivals there. I've been involved actively, and at Roosevelt Middle School where I taught, I actually decided to learn English, not just speak English, but speak Spanish, because I had 1/3 of the population was Hispanic. And so I went to Costa Rica. I spent 2 months there, learned to speak Spanish, and I used it every day when I was there.
Español.
Sí, cómo no.
Okay, that means she speaks Spanish. Anything else?
Again, I've been involved with all of the organizations there, and will continue to promote the Hispanic community not just in Kenner, but in Jefferson Parish and the rest of the area as well.
I apologize if I interrupted you.
That's okay.
Okay, Councilman Zahn, same question for you. The population is, it's the largest Hispanic population and the 6th most populous state in Louisiana. What do you make of how do you assess the relationship between the Hispanic population in Kenner, and what plans would you have, if given the privilege of serving as mayor in Kenner, to promote and grow that relationship?
I was the District 3 councilman before I was on Parish Council, which actually where the Hispanic Resource Center is presently located. Whether they moving to a different location or expanding, that's what Kenner government is looking at right now. But when I was District 3 councilman, we made sure that we set money aside, working with the 2 different administrations, that we put money into that, because it was near and dear to me, because obviously it's part of the district. It's right there, actually not too far from my neighborhood. Those are the things that have been important, and I've reached out to the Hispanic community by doing things like that, making sure we had the funding, making sure we looked for other locations to go to or for expansion. Numerous things happened along the way. We weren't able to move it at that time, but the funding was there in place. And I believe that's what's important, that you show the different communities. Too often we hear North Kenner and South Kenner. We need to start referring to it as just Kenner, the northern region, the southern region. Make sure that everyone, and there's a lot of Hispanic businesses on Williams Boulevard, that they realize that there is no barrier. And I think what's important is that they feel more comfortable with code enforcement, they feel more comfortable with any type of enforcement, and we reach out to them through possibly a cultural liaison person. I don't think we have that. I know we don't have that right now. We're getting ready to actually do that in the parish, and I'm not going to say Hispanic or just this ethnic group. It's a cultural liaison person. Obviously, the biggest language barrier would be with the Hispanic population, because that's our biggest population, so it would cater more toward that growing group right now, but it would be open for all. I believe by the things that I've been out there saying to the Hispanic community, being part of it is why I more than likely had HISPAC's endorsement, which I think is a great thing to have. I've had it in the past numerous times during races, and I think that's why they've reached out to me this time and given me that endorsement. So the things that I want to do is making sure that language barrier is not there, a cultural liaison person, and assist this resource center in any means that we can.
Next question is for Councilman Zahn. So many members of the Hispanic community or Latino community report having discomfort or fear and feeling worried that if they go to the police to report being victims of crime, or even as a witness to crimes, being worried that they may be investigated themselves, their legal status may come up, they may get in trouble themselves just trying to be a good Samaritan and identify criminals they saw committing a crime or hurting someone else. Under your administration, if you're elected mayor, how will you address that? How will you address relations between the police and Hispanics if they're stopped for a speeding ticket, for instance?
Well, the police chief in the city of Kenner is elected. So the mayor wants to work with the elected chief who will run the police department. But making sure, as mayor and also as a legislator with the council, I believe the council's job and the administrator's job, the CEO of the city, the mayor, is important to make sure that they understand, the CEO of the city, is to make sure, working with the CEO, is to make sure that they understand that all basic human rights will be protected. And that's what I would do as mayor, to make sure that they understand we're protecting your human rights, but we're going to work with the chief of police, who is elected, not appointed by the mayor, work with him closely. And I do think we have a great chief of police like we've had in the past. Our two former ones before that have done good work with the Hispanic community. I don't believe there's an outcry from the Hispanic community with the Kenner police. I don't know about other areas, but I'm worried about Kenner police. Working with that elected chief and making sure all the basic human rights are protected would be my goal as mayor.
Okay. Councilwoman DeFrancesch, same question for you.
Absolutely.
Would you like me to repeat their question?
No,
for
I
you?
understand it totally.
Okay.
I actually have a very great relationship with the Kenner Police Department, the police chief, both with the former police chief Caraway as well as with Chief Glazer. And our police department really reaches out to every ethnic group in our community. I will tell you, one of our police officers, and I'm going to name her, Officer Guggenheim. It doesn't sound like a Hispanic name, it's not, but she speaks Spanish fluently. And we have other members of the police department who speak Spanish fluently. But in addition to that, what's really important is our police department has sent officers to the Hispanic Resource Center to learn Spanish because they want to reach out to the Hispanic community and make them feel comfortable. And Councilman Zahn is absolutely correct. We have to look out for everyone's human rights, and we have to make people feel comfortable with our police department. What's interesting is I recently spoke to someone from Orleans Parish, and he heard me speaking to someone, and he asked the question, how does your police department actually reach out to these members of the community and make them feel comfortable? Because we have a very real problem in Orleans Parish, and I mentioned how we have the police patrols on bicycle, how we reach out at the school, in the school system, and many other ways in which the police department does that. And that makes our children comfortable with the police and our adults comfortable with the police by going to these functions throughout the city.
Okay, next question for Councilwoman DeFrancesch. Do you have any specific plans to add to some of the things that you've already described that are being done to involve the Latin community or reach out to the Latin community or to involve in your administration liaisons or members of your staff or cabinet members that will help promote and grow relationships and healthy interaction with the Hispanic community?
Well, let me just point out something that I did that I thought was important when I took office in 2006. My assistant speaks Spanish fluently. She is from Honduras. I have the only assistant who speaks Spanish fluently or speaks Spanish at all on the third floor. So when people come to the council office, whether it's to speak to me and someone in my office or any of the other offices, we have someone upstairs on the third floor who can help translate and can help them. We also have to have more people on the second floor in the mayoral office that can actually reach out to the Hispanic community and speak to them when they want to come see the mayor or have a problem that they need to speak to someone in the mayor's office. And we don't really have that right now. We did for a short period of time, but that's missing right now. And that's one of the things I will definitely work to bring more Hispanic-speaking people that are fluent in Spanish as well as in English onto the second floor to reach out to the Hispanic community and make them feel comfortable. And that should be throughout all of our different offices, not just on the mayoral floor, not just on the council floor, but even with some of our directors. We need to make sure that we realize we have one big city with so many different groups, and we need to reach out to all those groups.
Councilman Zahn, same question for you. Would you like me to repeat it?
No, I think the cultural liaison position, obviously, I kind of answered that before, would be very important on the mayor's floor. Also working with every department, and I'll clear that up. It's not just, obviously someone who reports to the mayor's office and the mayor, but obviously working with every department, undoing that language barrier. And I think that's what our biggest our biggest issue we have right now is to address it like that. Also in Lafayette Park, with recreation, Lafayette Park, we've reached out to the Hispanic community because I know soccer is a very big part of that. That might be something we have to look at in the future with recreation. I don't know how much we offer with recreation, talking about going from the liaison to recreation. I think we need to maybe look at that. We have some other properties in the city of Kenner, a lot of properties out there that we've been approached as I'm out on a campaign trail, tennis courts, soccer fields, more like what we're doing with Coconut Beach, maybe through independent business that wants to do a cooperative agreement with the city, or through the city itself. Probably through a CEA is the best way to do it because of finances, but I think that's the types of things we need to reach out to, and reach out to the Hispanic businesses to see if they want to be part of what's going on in the city of Kenner, because I don't think that's always the feeling of those businesses up and down on Williams Boulevard.
Okay, now we're at the final question, and it's not really a question, it's an opportunity for each of you to get in your final word. So last one, and as it goes back and forth, 1 minute each. This is your opportunity to tell us why anyone should vote for you, in particular Hispanics who are getting to know you through this media blitz.
Well, like I said in the beginning, we're going through a lot of great vision and energy right now in the city of Kenner. We're in a perfect position with Lake Town, how it's growing. The Hispanic community, along with all of our residents, use Lake Town a good bit. That is the future of where we can actually build some things. And we need to attract, we have a Hispanic community. We need to attract all families back to the city of Kenner. The more we work together, and there's no barrier, and I think that's where the cultural liaison person comes into play. There's no barrier with any of our groups in the city of Kenner are important, because if we can build Lake Town and we can improve Rivertown with Main Street USA and have all these things going on, work with the school board. It's not the mayor's job to go in and tell the school board what to do, but work with the school board and bring younger families into the city of Kenner while we're taking care of our senior citizens across the board, I think is extremely important right now. The Hispanics fall into that. Every ethnic group falls into that. Let's all work together. A lot of Hispanics are in Lake Town, like I said before, on weekends, in the evenings. We want to do a lot out there, a boardwalk. These are the things. As a parish councilman, I gave that property, Lake Kenner annexed that property back. We did that. As a city councilman, we changed the law to make that from a recreation standpoint to a business. Everyone will be able to enjoy that, and that's what I think the groups would enjoy.
Mr. DeFrancesch, 1 minute.
Thank you so much. First of all, thank you for having us and allowing us to address the Hispanic community and the rest of the community as well. As a teacher for 35 years, I gave my life to the children of Jefferson Parish and made sure that I improved their lot in life by giving them the education that I felt was so important. I've been very, very active in the community with the Jefferson Council of Aging to the Kenner Senior Citizen Center. But there's a lot more to it. We have to involve every part of this city and work so we bring everyone together. I was the first to say, from the river to the lake, from the lake to the river, we need to have one city and not be a divided city. And with your permission, I'd like to address the Hispanic community and just say a few words, with your permission.
Half your minute left.
Thank you. Mi nombre es María DeFrancesch, soy la concejala general por la ciudad de Kenner. Me siento orgullosa de nunca ser parte de este establecimiento político. Quiero dar voz a la gente de Kenner, no a jefes políticos. Fui maestra por 30 años de la parroquia de Jefferson y 5 años como administradora. Sería un alcalde de tiempo completo y ahora es más importante haber un alcalde de tiempo completo. Thank you for allowing us to be here. And you wanted our number, minus 77, and Councilman Zahn.
All right, numero 80. Thank you both for being here. Unfortunately, that is all the time we have for our election special. I want to once again thank all our guests for being so gracious with their time, and to thank our partners at De Todo Un Poco for helping make this program happen. This is the most wide-reaching program ever dedicated largely to Hispanic issues in Louisiana, because we're able to reach people not only through TV, but online on Facebook and YouTube and podcasts. Please go online to govotela.com. You can watch all the interviews we've done with the candidates, including bonus interviews with candidates for the Louisiana Supreme Court justices. The candidates for that race. You'll also find links to get important election information, including where and when to vote. So thank you for joining us, helping to make this historic program happen.